Are you there? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, I can.
All right, you can hear me. I can hear you. We're live right now. I didn't even bother doing an intro without you. I just said, you know what? Let's just get this thing going. Hopefully, some people hop into chat here. Let us know how we sound and how we look, because I never know.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm still kind of playing around with the new studio, so
Yeah, this Streamlabs, the collab cam is nice now, but I've been, back and forth with what I want to use for these live streams. But here we are. We'll do it. We'll do it live.
yeah, we had a little problem with the collab cam with ours. It took a little bit for loading for one of our guests, but hey, you know what? Technical difficulties. We're still here to have fun, right?
That's it. That's all we're ready to do. I'm just gonna check. I'm gonna pull up my own YouTube real quick. See if I can't write myself a chat just to see if anything happens. Johnny's already in the
Yeah, I
house.
have.
We are live. Look and sound great. That's awesome. Always late, Chris. I'll tell you what. There we go. We got everything working. Everything sounding good, looking good. Jason W in the house. All right. Here's the deal. We were supposed to be started at 7:30. I was gonna hop on a little early, pour up a drink, obviously, have one before this, but that's just not the way life goes when you have a 14 or a 15-year-old and a 18-month-old. So this is what we've got going on. I didn't even pregame for this, which is out of the question for me normally. Let me know if I'm too loud, too quiet, guys. I know you guys will take care of that. But we have a special guest. This is gentleman, just one singular gentleman today, and whiskey joining us for a live stream, which is awesome. Another fellow Pennsylvanian as well, which is cool. We're going to be doing a lot more of this because we got to keep us Pennsylvanians together. As long as you're not a Penguins fan. Can we get that out of the way real quick? Not a Penguins fan,
Oh
right?
yeah, not a Penguins fan, although not a Flyers fan. So
Okay. Could be worse, I guess. Could be worse.
fair
But
enough.
I'm going to let you introduce yourself while I maybe pour up a drink before we start here and calm down a little bit. But I'm going to let you introduce yourself, your channel, your co-partner who is currently not joining us tonight, what you guys do, any plugs you want to put in, where to find you, and all that kind of stuff.
Awesome, dude. Well, hey, first off, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it. I'm John from Gentleman and Whiskey, and yes, I understand that my logo actually looks a little like yours, and I realized that when your thumbnail was being like right next to ours, it was not intentional. I promise you.
It's a nice setup.
So, yeah. So I'm here at my house. Obviously, my buddy, who's also a co-host, Brandon, is unavailable tonight. Unfortunately, he's not feeling good, so he will not be here. Yeah, we make whiskey content like you do. We do shorts, full length videos, live streams. I've already seen a few of you who sub to us in the comments. So awesome. Thanks for watching. I'm actually a Sabres fan, believe it or not. So
Buffalo.
yeah, not anywhere near Buffalo. Just when I started watching hockey, it was shortly after I'd started playing hockey, and I didn't really care for the bad boy Flyers of the time. And then I was watching hockey, and I saw this goaltender named Dominic Hasek, who was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. So, kind of fell in love with the Sabres.
That's fair. Again, it could be worse. It could be Rangers, Penguins, anything like that. So I'll take what I can get on that. Couple people chiming in here. Scott, hello. Nice to see you. Jason W is a Leafs fan. The Leafs, they've won enough.
Ooh,
We can let them go for a little while. And then we have Johnny in the house. Sad season for Pens fans, throwing salt on the wound. Yeah, it was a tough one for the Pens. I thought they were gonna make it. They just squeaked their way out at the end there, losing to Chicago, I believe, at the end, basically taking them out of it. But Jason W, the Bardstown Rye looking drank. I'll tell you what. So I'm gonna inform everybody what we're doing tonight if you don't already know. What we have here is obviously last week I did my Bardstown Bourbon week, so I got to review all three of these bottles here. Gentleman Whiskey had two of the three bottles. I had sent them a sample of the rye so that they could drink. I'm going to say they most of the night just because it's in my head, but so John can drink along with us. We had our wives actually pour these up. So all three of these are in the same order, but they are blind. So we don't know which one is which, but me and him will be drinking simultaneously. Hopefully these are in the right order because who knows with my wife. She likes to send out instructions sometimes that don't really make sense. So we'll find out at the end, but hopefully these are in the same order that you're drinking them in. We're going to talk about them, what we like about them, what we don't like about them, and then pick our favorite and put them in order. Obviously using our great whiskey challenge kit, which you have beautifully displayed in the background there. I like that.
right there,
I don't know
buddy.
where my podium is. Don't I lost my podium. It's around here somewhere, but we'll find that by the end. Sugar Kitty in the house, not a Flyers fan. I hoped for so much more from this channel. Gritty rocks, yeah. They can't all be Flyers fans, and Gritty's about the only good thing we have going on right now. So Atlanta needs NHL again. They might sell the Flyers to Atlanta, to be honest with you. Crushing that rye, Chris. Is anybody drinking the Bardstown along with us tonight? I would love to know that. And as you can see at the bottom, we are doing every $5 donation. I should get a pen and pencil too. This is how prepared I am for this. Every $5 donation will be a chance to win 2 ounces of each of these from myself. So I'll be sending them out, and that's how we're going to be doing that. So, with that being said, I think since these are already poured up, do you want to start on our left or on our right with what we're drinking here? I'll leave it up to you as I
Uh,
grab a pen.
I have, yeah. If it makes you feel any better, your wife did communicate by label colors, so I think they should be in their correct order.
Beautiful. I love that.
So, yeah, let's go. I'm a lefty, so let's go left to right.
Left to right. Okay, so we're starting on our left here. Again, we don't know which one's which. Now, you haven't had the rye at all, correct?
No, I didn't open the sample or anything.
Okay.
It you made it sound awesome, so
What were your opinions on the wheater versus the bourbon as far as those two went?
So the weeder I enjoyed more than the bourbon. I've only had a little bit of experience. The way we were talking about, I wasn't 100% sure how this was going to go. So Brandon actually did we call them first impression shorts on our channel.
Yep.
So he did those. I had small, teeny little tastes. But from what I had, I'm not usually a high rye person. So the 36% rye was just a tad too much for me.
Okay.
But I did really enjoy the weeded bottle and bond.
Yeah, the wheated again, I drank a little hot for me, but the flavor profile was absolutely fantastic. And then the bourbon was just it's kind of that traditional bourbon flavor. I think you're gonna be surprised at how different the rye is. I don't want to say it's I don't want to lean you one way, good or bad, but it's a different experience, and I think you'll be able to figure out which. Hopefully, I say that myself too, and then we do these blinds, and I'm like, this is the rye, and it's the wheater, so we'll find out here first.
Yeah.
But sipping on some SLB Penelope Toasted, love that. SLB is doing big things right now. I think they just hit 100,000 on YouTube. Um, Need to get me some. Only have the fusion. Fusion. Which fusion are you drinking on, Scott? And then what is this? I can't even see. I don't have my one contact in. Binking Bourbon. What's going on? Cheers, folks. How are you doing tonight? All right. So are you a noser, by the way? Do you like to get into the nosings? You do,
Yeah, I
right?
was actually just watching your barrel video before this, and I'm a huge nose guy. I actually think in some cases I like the nose more than I like the palate.
So we'll nose tonight. I don't mind nosing. I'll leave that to you as far as what you're getting off of the nose here. But I'm gonna start with the left one here. We'll get right into it.
Yep. Cheers, man.
Cheers. And folks, let us know in the comment section what you're drinking on tonight, and if you've had any of these and what you think about them. Fusion 5. Fusion 5 I had. I had Fusion 4 and I had Fusion 5. The Fusions were really good. I'm actually kind of sad to see them go.
There's a little rye forward on this, like a little herbalness,
Okay.
kind of like some minty gum.
Okay, yeah, I can get that. Now, do you think this is, so the rye, you don't have the bottle with you. I'll tell you what the rye says as far as it is a 95.5 rye and it's 6 years, spring of 2017. So it's 95.5 versus 36% like you mentioned before. It should be a pretty big
Yeah.
difference, but again, I'm nosing, I couldn't tell you at all.
So I think it's really interesting that even though this is their own distillate, they still followed the MGP mash bills. So
Mm-hmm.
like the 60, 36, and 4 is MGP's high rye, and the 95.5 is MGP's rye. I think that's interesting. Should help smooth the transition a little bit from their
Right.
distillate to, from MGP to their distillate.
Yeah, I agree. I actually didn't even, I mean, I knew now that you say it, like it makes sense, but I didn't even think of like putting that connection together that they are using the same mash bill.
Yeah, I get a little like sugariness, like almost a simple syrup off this too. I would
Okay.
right off the nose, I would imagine this is the rye,
You think this is the straight up
but
the rye?
I do, yes.
Okay. Off the nose. This is the stuff that just amazes me because I'll be honest with you. I'm just gonna smell a second one for fun,
Yeah,
just
go
to
for
see just to see the differences. Don't do this in Matt Madness, but you can do this here.
it.
You get in
Oh
trouble over
man,
there.
to be fair, other people have done it too. You just got roasted for it.
And that's fine. I can handle that. I can handle the heat. Any publicity is good publicity. So if they can call me out for something.
Absolutely.
Closing
Yep.
my Hirsch DOSIB double oak single barrel 8 year Willet purple top. Goodness, Chris, I have a sample for you. God bless you, because that sounds fantastic. Hoping to pick up the weeded soon. Have been really enjoying Old Elk weeded bourbon store picks. I've only had one experience. I don't know your experience with Old Elk. I've only had one experience with Old Elk, and it was a long time ago. And I don't know if it was just their traditional weeded bourbon. I didn't love it, but they have like crazy picks and stuff coming out that people are telling me are good.
Yeah, so I have their 2022 double wheat, and that's pretty interesting. I actually like that. Um, we also have had our tasting group is a part of this too. We do Fourth Friday tastings, and that kind of like led into the channel and stuff like that. One of our Fourth Fridays last year, we did a middle shelf madness, and it was Old Elk versus some other bottles in the price and proof area, and that was not their regular bourbon is not something that I really traditionally enjoy.
Yeah, it wasn't something for me either. But again, some of these picks, it's tough with these companies that continue to put out bottle after bottle after bottle because I never know which one I want to try.
Fair enough. You want to taste this one?
I'm ready. Let's get into it.
Well, cheers.
I
I'd
think
be
you're
very
right.
surprised. Yeah.
I think you're right. If that's not a 95.5 rye, I would also be surprised. First of all, let me tell you, these Great Whiskey Challenge tasting kits, they have a pour line on them. I'm covering the bottom so I don't see the bottom, but they have a pour line on them. And let me just tell you, Marissa blew by that. I am now about 3/4 full on all of these glasses, which maybe we'll finish them tonight. Probably shouldn't, but we'll be there. Canadian Chris
Yeah.
coming with the first super chat saying, never heard of them, never heard the term noser, though you said how. Okay, let me hold on one more time. Never heard the term noser, though you said hover. LOL. Never heard the term noser.
I don't know. I
I
nose whiskey. It's
I
a verb to
I
me.
don't. I try. I try every time and then I just get the same notes for the most time. Chris, I appreciate you sending that $7. $7 Canadian. I don't even know what that translates to.
Yeah,
I don't
I'm
know
not
how the
sure the
money market
exchange
works
rates.
these days. Exchange rates and everything. Huge props to
Yeah.
the Origin series. If this was the start, looking forward to the journey. I agree. I think they're obviously going to continue with that. Um, continue with the Origin series, and I'm interested as they get older. I think that the older stuff the older the stuff they get to put out, the better that it's gonna be. Thought you said hoser. Gotcha, gotcha, gotcha.
I
I was like,
have
thought I
been to
said hover.
Canada a few times. Yeah.
Yeah, you have. I've only been there once, Quebec.
Used to play hockey actually. I played a couple of tournaments up there. So
Okay.
got got our butts beat pretty handily by all the Canadian guys.
Oh
A
man, I
lot of
can only
fun.
imagine. They just skate faster.
There's just something up there, man.
Everyone remember to lick that like and like the lick. It tastes like gritty in the Flyers. Sugar Kitty, I appreciate you. I am from New Brunswick. Gotcha. Yeah, that's got to be the 95.5 rye. Now that you've tasted it and you think that that's what that is, what are your thoughts on it?
So it's pretty reminiscent. Have you had the old Ezra 7 rye?
Not the rye.
Okay. So it's actually very good. It's roughly around the same price point. So when you were talking in your video about like the price points and stuff, that's
Yep.
in that like 70 to $80 price point. And I think it's very comparable to this. It's got a lot of those same like herbal rye notes that I get, and then like the heat at the back end. Um, I actually really enjoy this.
Yeah, I thought it was very good. I thought it was very interesting. I'm just going to put up on the screen here. If anybody hasn't seen this, these are the you're going to disappear here for a second. You'll still be in the background,
All
but
good.
this is the barrels and the infrared technology that they use. So for the finishing on this rye, they tell you that it is toasted cherry wood and oak barrels, and these are the barrels that they're using. They call them zebra barrels. So for every two cherry, I believe there's one American oak, and they look beautiful. And then the infrared technology that they use over at what was it? I think it's West Virginia Great Barrel Company is just
Yeah.
something different than anything that I've personally seen. Now, I don't usually dive too deep into the barreling of things as much of a factor as that is in the whiskey that it plays into the whiskey. But it's crazy just the way that that infrared technology, they basically tell you they can heat it to a specific degree of temperature and to a specific time. So like down to the millisecond of time and down to the degree. So every barrel that they put out, consistency is obviously the name of the game when it comes to whiskey. You want to make sure you can be consistent, but that's taken it to a whole nother level.
Yeah, the infrared is always interesting to me. It's allows for that like greater heat consistency that fire doesn't have, but then it's kind of
Right.
like you don't get necessarily maybe that flavor that you do by wood firing.
Right. There's definitely, I think, pros and cons. I know they say it can char deeper into the wood without also charring more of the outside of the barrel, like, well, the inside, but the outside of the inside of the barrel. So
Yeah.
you can get deeper in with less of a char, which gives it less of those tannin notes, which I don't usually love. And I find with this particular Origin series that that's one thing I picked up on, that I get that oaky influence, but I don't get those tannins. I don't get that drying feeling in my mouth, which I love personally. It gives me everything I want without giving me everything I don't want.
Yeah, I definitely find that to be true of a lot of like double oaked stuff. Like Woodford double oaked 1910 can be that way. Sometimes it depends on the batch.
Yep.
But I don't love that like tannin, like drying astringency either.
Yeah, it's just one of the it's off put it's not something that is it's a make or break for me. It's just when I experience it, I'm just like I could do without this type of deal.
Totally agree.
All right, so we think number one is the 95.5 rye. We think that's the actual rye. Now I think it's going to
Yeah.
be a little bit harder between the other two, but your tasting's probably a little bit better than mine if you can nose that one and tell me it's a 95.5 rye. Let's see what you can do on this next glass here. So we're going to the
All
middle,
right. Yep. Middle.
nosing first. Now, when I pick these two up side by side, you can easily tell a very big difference. But I also feel like the one major thing that I get when I do nosing is I feel like I can hone in a little bit more on the proof than I can actual flavor profiles.
Okay.
Where I feel like these two, because the two of them are 96 proof, and then obviously the Weeder is the bottled and bond, which is 100 proof. These two nose to me, and only because I think that Weeder is a little bit hotter. These two nose to me like they're more of that 96 proof, so I'm almost leaning off of the nose that this is the bourbon. But let me know if you can pick up any weeded notes in there.
I'm getting a little bit of bubble gum, which is the thing that I usually get off weeded.
Off weeded.
It, yeah, I don't have a whole lot of experience with these glasses, and I know it's going to sound kind of a little bit douchey, but glassware does matter a little bit. And to
I
me,
agree.
like the irons have a little bit more of that bowl, whereas these are a little bit shorter and closer to the glass. So I haven't had a whole lot of experience nosing out of these, so that might be a handicap for me.
You'll be all right. I think you'll get it.
So the last sip, I got some like red fruits, like some cherries, strawberries. That is more of a rye, like a high rye thing that I normally get.
Okay.
You can get in there though. Like there's not a lot of proof on this nose.
That's what I'm thinking, and that's the one thing. And again, now the Weeders had like another week to open up, so maybe it's going to start to proof itself down a little bit. And again, four proof points isn't much. It's just when I drank the Weeder, even and I haven't done them side by side, obviously, until now, which is what I think is really going to interest me on. Does that 96 proof really hit a lot easier than that 100 proof did when I did my videos versus when I'm doing them side by side? So William
This
Hall
one's
in the house,
tough.
cheers all. This one is tough. I feel just off the nose, we haven't drank it yet. I think drinking it's going to give us a big hint, but I still feel like off the nose that this is a bourbon, and you still feel off the nose that this is the weeder.
Yeah, I can get pretty far in there and I don't get a lot of rye spice. So that weeders to me are usually a little bit more like smooth or dull on the nose.
Okay,
But we got to find out for sure. So
only one way. Cheers.
cheers. Nah, it's the rye bourbon.
I think it's the bourbon.
I think you're right.
I think it's the rye bourbon. And again, if anybody doesn't know, this one's coming in at that's the weeder. I grabbed the black label. This one's coming in at 60% corn, 36% rye, and it's also the 6 year. So all three of these are 6 years. And then, as John mentioned to us earlier, going off that same mash bill that they're getting from MGP, which is interesting and again a fact that I didn't know. So awesome of you to bring that up. That's something that I didn't even think about. I knew the 95.5, it made sense, but I didn't even recognize
Yeah.
that with the weeder. Is it the same with a weeder? Do they use mash bills from the weeder?
So for the longest time, MGP didn't have a weeded mash bill
Right.
until after. Oh man, what is the old elk dude's name?
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I cannot think of his name for the life of me though.
Somebody will bring it up in
Um,
chat.
I could just look back behind me and find the bottle. But
That could
before
also be.
he left, they didn't do a whole lot of rye stuff. He was actually on the podcast, an episode of the podcast, and he was talking
Okay.
about like not doing a whole lot of rye, or sorry, weeded
We did.
bourbons in his time there when it was still Seagrams and then LDI and then MGP. So
Gotcha. Dropping knowledge over here. I love it. I love it. Let me see here. Johnny, hoping to hear the weeder is the best of the three. Any weeded bourbon recommendations? Weeded bourbon recommendations. Do you have any yourself? I mean, obviously you can go with the easy picks with the Maker's Marks, the Rebels, um, stuff like that. But do you have any other recommendations outside of that? I would say Larceny Barrel Proof if you like something a little bit higher proof.
yeah, I mean, I'm going to go the Tater route and say Old Weller Antique.
Gotta go Old Weller Antique. I'm a big fan. Just picked up another bottle. We have back here. I'm thinking about doing a giveaway with that as well for our 5,000 sub giveaway, but we'll see if we even get to that anytime soon. But yeah, Old Weller Antique. Which have you had? Which of the which of the Wellers have you had? You've had the Antique. You have the Full Proof as well, right?
Yeah, and we've had the Special Reserve and the we got the Weller 12 same
12.
time you did,
Yep.
and then we had a bottle of the Craft Your Perfect Bourbon last year
Okay.
for our 12 days of whiskey, and that was interesting.
What's your favorite of the
Um,
five?
it's definitely Old Weller Antique, honestly. Although
I'm
it
still
can be a toss
107
up. Yeah,
between the Full Proof.
it's a yep.
Yep. I feel like that's the right answer. I mean, when you talk price about it, even if you're talking MSRP, $25 for the special reserve versus $50 for the antique, it's a no-brainer that I'll spend the extra $25. It's that much better. Um, William Hall in the house,
Yeah,
we said hi to you. What's going on? Wish I wasn't sick tonight, missing out, Brandon. That's no good. Sounds like it's time for a hottie toddy. Johnny saying wish you
mm,
feel better. A couple people saying rest up, Brandon. Definitely do that. There's a couple things going around. A couple of my buddies got something like he said. Brandon's not joining us tonight because he's not feeling too hot. So everybody stay safe out there. I thought we were out of it. I thought we were past this whole the winter's over. The warm's coming out, but people still seem to be catching some things. So Brad said that bottled and bond though. Yeah, we're about to find out. A lot of people seem to think that the Weeder is the number one. And I don't disagree taste wise. I don't disagree. I'm hoping it opens up a little bit here and we'll find out. On the rip, I like the Weeder. Halfway through, I leaned towards the bourbon rye, and as I finished both, I favored the Weeder again. See, that's Jason, that's the best part about it is sometimes you have a different experience every time you drink them and that's the best part, but haven't tried the rye yet, but I like the bourbon over the wheated. Haven't tried either since they really opened up. Well, Brandon, if you do try them again, let me know because I I personally, when I had all three of them separately over a couple of days, the wheater was my favorite tasting. The rye and the bourbon were both very good when it came to flavor profile. The rye surprised me a little bit with the flavor, and then the bourbon was just so traditional compared to the other two that it just kind of fell by the wayside to me. It's just one of those things where, don't get me wrong, absolutely delicious, but it's just when you drink bourbon all day, you start to be like, okay, that's a bourbon, and you start to reach out to something that might be a little bit different in their flavor profile. So far you think we've had the rye, and now we both agree that we think the second one is going to be the wheated bourbon. Is that where or I'm sorry, the rye bourbon here?
yeah, they really need to give it a different name. Like just calling them both bourbons, they need to call it like the high rye or something like that, like black label, white label, something like that,
It's
because it
tough.
is very confusing.
And I think Weeder gets because it's obviously still a bourbon, but like even with Weeder, there's so many of them now that it used to just be like, oh, that's a weeded bourbon, and it's like okay, but now I feel like Weeder deserves just as much respect as like you said, black label and white label is probably the way to do it.
Yeah, yeah, I definitely think that second one's the high rye bourbon. Now that I've had a little bit more experience with it,
So now I'm gonna put you on the spot. Out of the two we've had so far, which one do you think you like better?
the rye.
The first one, the 95.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm there
Yeah,
with
there's
you.
not much to the palate of that high rye. Like it's a little spicy and a little bit of like berries and oak, but it doesn't have that depth of flavor
I
that
agree.
the rye has.
It's the basic bourbon flavor. It's your traditional bourbon, but again, it's kind of mute, it's kind of quiet at that 96 proof. I would love, and I mentioned it in my videos, I would love to see what some of this stuff tastes like straight out of the barrel or cask strength. I think it would be
Yep.
phenomenal.
Do we have any idea what their entry proof is there? I know I toured there. I don't remember.
I don't know. I don't know it off the top of my head. Maybe somebody in chat can tell us entry proof on
Yeah.
anything here. I'm not sure.
Also, Tyler told us it's Greg Metz is the master distiller at
That's it. Metz
yeah.
is the master distiller. Yep. He's been on a couple of channels. You said he was on the podcast?
Mhm. Yeah, he was on the podcast. I mean, this might have been 2 years ago. They
Right.
kind of all the podcasts kind of blend together because you
Yep.
don't have that like visual cue of when it was
Right.
necessarily.
Exactly. Yeah, they put out a good podcast though. I listened to a few different it's the commute to work, the ride home and ride back is a lot of whiskey podcast stuff. So
Yeah.
haven't tried the rye yet, but liked the bourbon over the wheated. Haven't tried oh, we said that already. See, look, I'm messing all up. Great value in today's bourbon market. I agree. That's the other thing about these bottles is Bardstown could have easily priced these at 99.99, all three of them. Could have easily put these on the market at $100 and everybody would have still went out and bought one because it's Bardstown bourbon and it's their first distillate. So I love the fact that they put them out at the price point that they did. The rye obviously being about $20 more than the bourbon and the weeder, but it's just because of that secondary finish, I think, and obviously rye costs a little bit more money, but I think Bardstown did it right for the price point they put them out at.
Yeah, I'm gonna say shots fired a little bit, and if this were Penelope, it would be 70, $80 instead of 45.
It seems that way. Some people take advantage of what they know people are going to pay versus what they think their product is actually worth. And
Yeah.
and I also think that we have a responsibility in what we do in calling people out for that. So I don't you're saying shots fired. I think it's more of a, making sure people are aware that you're not just going to be like, "Hey, this is a X bottle just because it's that particular brand. I'm going to tell you that you should buy it at this price point," which I can respect anybody who's willing to do that on their channel. So,
Yeah, we've kind of struggled a little bit. We went from like rating whiskey to we moved to kind of a buy bar pass clone where we do pick up pour pass now, and that kind of factors price into it. But we also try to keep a little bit objective of how the taste is, and it's nice because Brandon's very different than I am. Brandon is much more of like an MGP high rye focused palate, and I am much more of a like I really like complexity and I really like a lot of like depth of flavor. And that's why I tend to go towards like barrel proof items and I tend to go towards like your blue notes, your Buffalo Trace stuff.
yeah, I mean, it is nice the comparison between watching the two of you drink the same bottle together because you do get a little bit of the best of both worlds where you'll be honest about your palate and your opinion saying, hey, this is missing this for me, where he'll still be able to be like, well, that's what I love about this bottle or that's what I really enjoy about this bottle. So I think it's a lot of fun to have two people on a channel because you get those different interactions, and with you two in general, that you do have those different tasting notes and those approaches to how you enjoy your whiskey, that it makes it a very fun way to watch the channel. So I compliment you guys for that. It's definitely a fun watch.
Thank you. It makes it really annoying to edit sometimes.
I can only imagine. I used to have my wife in and just as like a comedic relief because she hated anything we drank anyway, but I can only
Yeah.
imagine the editing becomes a pain. Scott dropping in here, Bourbon Bombers with the $10 super chat. That's right. That's what we. So
Nice.
a long time ago, we started. When I started Patreon, we only had a few of us, and Patreon would send you out an email, a monthly newsletter about like tips and tricks on how to grow. And jokingly, I would screenshot it and send it to just the patrons, and I'm like, look at what this is what they want us to do to grow. And the number one tip from like the top 10 people on Patreon who had the most patrons was to give your community a name. And I don't, it was just a joke at the time, and we were like, yeah, we all need a name. And it's funny because a lot of other bigger channels do actually like their community has names. I know like Trev the Bourbon Wrench calls everybody nerds, that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
it was funny at the time, and then we came up with, because I do the Bourbon Bomb of the Week, we came up with Bourbon Bombers, and it stuck. We started making some merch for everybody that's a Bourbon Bomber 1 year stuff. So the Bourbon Bombers are in the house tonight. I appreciate everybody here. And if you're not already, again, check out Gentlemen of Whiskey. Make sure you click that like and subscribe button over there on all their videos and stuff like that. Instagram. Where else are you guys? You guys have websites, merch, stuff like that?
We do not have a website as of currently. We have a domain that I have done nothing with,
I
but
feel that. Me neither.
yeah, yeah, we're on Instagram. We don't do TikTok, mostly because I don't do TikTok. Not that it's a
That's
bad
fair.
thing. It's just not for me. But we do Instagram and YouTube mostly. We do have a Facebook group, but mostly that's just for sharing stuff on Facebook. It's not as active as our Instagram or our YouTube are.
TikTok is one of those things. I started on TikTok as far as like the shorts went before I went to YouTube and Instagram. And the thing about TikTok is it's great because you can definitely reach an audience. The thing is, the TikTok audience isn't the community type of audience. They're
Mhm.
more of a, hey,
Yeah.
I'm going to watch your video because it popped up on my For You page. Like, it's not really so supportive. Now, there's definitely some, accounts on there that I love that continue to grow on there and are doing great on there. But I feel like the Instagram community as well as the YouTube community is more of that. It's a community where they're not just scrolling through and happen to come across one of your videos. They're actually following you. Their videos are on your screen for a reason. So big difference. And I don't hate on you guys not being on TikTok, especially if you're on Instagram and putting out the great content that you guys are on there. So
Yeah, I've noticed that a little bit with the difference between YouTube shorts and the long form videos also. I feel like the shorts you get in the feed and then you get some views, but then it doesn't really, like, you might get some subs, but it doesn't really generate uh actual like commitment and community. Whereas like your long form videos, people are watching, people are talking to you about it. There's a couple of guys in here actually from a bourbon group I'm a part of, the 717 Bourbon Society. And they, like, every time we meet, they talk to us about our videos, and it's super cool to think about that.
love
Like,
that.
people are watching our videos, people are talking to us about them, and it's, we're still relatively new. We've been at this for 2 years, but we haven't been doing a whole lot of content. So it's cool for us to actually engage with those people that watch our stuff.
Right. No, you guys, like I said, consistency is the name of the game when it comes to this. So if you keep putting out the content, the people will keep coming. But Jason W said Scott represents big cup. Absolutely. Troy and Lisa in the house. What's going on, Troy? Another bourbon bomber in the house. Cheers, Troy. Scott's dropping out for work. Appreciate you stopping in. The Mash and Drum. Jason, what's going on? How are you doing tonight? Appreciate you stopping in. That's awesome. I appreciate you being here. Brandon saying Bourbon Bombers. That's a pretty dope name. I agree. It was a fun name to come up with. Thanks for the compliments, Chris. Appreciate the way you evaluate whiskey also. Absolutely. So, I mean, a lot of good people in this house. Like I said, Jason Mash and Drum. Hey, Jason. Yes, sir. What's going on? Are you ready to get into glass number 3 here? That's the question.
Yeah, dude, I need to drink some more whiskey,
I
honestly.
th- I'm not lying. It's one of those weeks and it's Tuesday. You know what I mean? This
Yeah, dude, I
is
hear you.
this is going to basically make or break if we were right on the Weeder versus the bourbon. I'm gonna go one more sip on this first one, but I think we're right on that 95.5. This second one though
Yeah.
may be the key. So let's go on to this. We'll start with the nose. Try it out. Cheers. That's got to be the Weeder, right? Now you're second guessing
I don't know,
yourself. Look at
man.
you.
I don't know, man. I'm getting some like I'm getting a lot of like red fruit, what we call red fruits, like Twizzlers, cherry, vanilla, or like strawberry stuff. I don't know. A
Mike
little
Carr
bit.
in the
You
house.
know what? Yeah, it
Are
it,
you,
it might be because I
it's
get
the
a little bit
Weeder,
of
right?
popcorn. Yeah,
It's got to
yeah.
be. I don't know what it is. And again, I've been completely wrong before, so don't hold me to any of these standards, especially with nosing, but I get almost like a, normally with rye, I get a Christmassy note, like when I get that high rye, like that
Hmm.
evergreen, that
Yeah.
Christmas flavor here, but I feel like I'm not really getting that on this. And
So
like
I'll
you
tell
you called
you.
it you called it mint on this first one, and that's definitely what it is. But this last one
Yeah,
just it's missing what both of those first two have.
it's more on the nose too. Like the middle one definitely didn't have as vibrant of a nose as the first one, and this one is like a return to that. That's what's
Yep.
kind of throwing me off a little bit.
But I also feel like we talked about it before that ethanol is the one thing I can usually pick up on the nose more than anything else. I feel like there's more of
Yeah.
that ethanol kick. And again, for only 4 proof difference, I did think the weeder drank hot. So I'm just wondering if that's another thing that I'm picking up here. Good evening. Just finished my last tax return of the season. I feel like groundhog coming out of its hole. Mike, I can only imagine. Tax season is
Dude,
tough.
dude, that is some next level stuff being in the middle of tax season. Ugh.
I filed my taxes and I'm not going to sit here and tell you that my taxes are complicated by any means, but we had a lot that went on last year. I don't
Yeah.
know if you're not educated on filing your taxes, how people use like TurboTax or something like that. If you've got your W-4 and you got this is all you're doing one job and you didn't buy anything big or anything like that, or you don't have investments. I understand when I was younger, I could fill it out, but now like we have like a death in the family and we bought a house. It's just like I have
Yeah.
no clue where I would even start.
Yeah.
God bless the people that know how to do it. I'd be in jail. Love how bourbon community supports each other. Jason and MD in the house. Absolutely. Jason stopping in is amazing. That man's got nothing but respect for everybody in the community, and I got nothing but respect for him. So Jason W. Love. Oh, we just said that. Mike Carr, cheers. Absolutely. Mike Carr in the house. Good evening, everybody. We just talked about that. Jeez, this thing's moving up and my eyes are not. The Bardstown Rye has the Luxardo cherries on the palate for me. So it definitely has that cherry note because of that cherry American oak finish. And I feel like, I don't know if I did pick up cherries on this now that I think about it. Going back to that first
if
one, the 95.5.
Yeah, if I did, it was very subtle.
When I first drank it, it was like in your face a cherry. I wouldn't say a cherry bomb. It's not like a Stag Junior or anything like that, where it was
Yeah.
like high proof cherries, but there was definitely like that cherry influence on it.
Man, it has really changed since it's had some time to open up.
Brandon saying I did feel like nosing out of those glasses was more difficult. I had to trust my palate when we did blind tastings video on Gentleman of Whiskey. Yeah. It's definitely
Yeah.
a one I don't nose it at all, but I could see how, with the shorter glass, the less time it has to rise to the top, you're kind of like more into the whiskey, if that makes sense.
Yeah. All right, we got to try this, man. We
We
got
got
we
to
got to
try
figure
it.
this out.
I'm in. Glass number 3. Cheers.
Cheers.
It's the weeder. 100%.
Yeah.
You think?
Uh,
I'm
two and
calling you
three are
out.
messing with me. Fair enough, man. I don't know.
I think that's the weeder. I think we have it right. I personally think we have it right. Do you want to change 2 and 3? That's the question.
I got to go back to two.
Go back. Do your thing. Again, I get a little bit more heat on this. I get a little bit more of that what's the word I'm looking for here? Weeders taste a little bit more, I don't want to say quiet because it's more flavorful for sure, but it's just like more, I don't know, more floral, more like easy drinking.
Yeah.
It's not even
I
like a
mean,
sweetness on this.
yeah. Honestly, the word we're looking for is probably smooth. It
You're
has
not allowed
like
to say
smooth
that, John. You're
edges.
not allowed to say that, John.
I know. I know. I'm breaking
I
all my
agree with
own
you
rules here.
100%. It's so much smoother than the other two. It's well rounded. It's just smoother. It's easy to drink.
Okay, I'm on board with you. I just had the
Softer.
last sip of number two, and like it has just kind of this explosion of rye flavor at the end, but everything else up to that point is that smooth that I expect. Whereas the third glass is not any of that smoothness that I would expect.
Brandon saying softer. Brad saying tame. Tame is another good word. Softer, tame. Those are great. Those are great ways to say it. It's just like nothing really jumps out to me at the beginning of this glass. Where these two, like
Yeah,
something's in there, you taste it, you're like, okay, that's really damn good. but you get
Yeah,
that spice, you get that rye on that. And then the second one, you definitely get, I mean, the second one, I'm almost 100% that the second one is the 36% rye.
I think you're right.
Just that spice factor on there. It's either that or it's completely opposite, and we're just 100% wrong.
Yeah, it turns out the third one's the rye, the
It's
first
the
one's the weeder,
95.5
and
rye. That's what
yeah.
I'm kind of afraid of. I've looked
Nah, man.
dumber on live, so
Look, dude, blind tastings are out there for you to just look dumb. That's pretty much the only explanation of
100%.
them.
I gotta agree with you on that 100%. I love doing them because they do keep me honest. Over Christmas, I had Marissa would come down. She would pick any bottle off my shelf, and then she would put two other bottles on the table with it. Obviously, she would pour that, and I would taste it, and I would have to guess between the three which one it was. I ended up being right below 50%, but she's picking. I mean, sometimes she would pick a weeder and then put like Stag Junior and Antique 107 up there, and you're just like,
Right,
okay, I know which one the weeder is. So it became
right.
easy at some points, but then sometimes she was up here with like three bottles and bonds from Wild Turkey, and I'm like, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know which one it is. Oh man, I you got me nervous here now. The second one, when you said when you first smelled it, you were like maybe the weeder because you got like a bubblegum flavor, and ever since you said that, and I've been trying this, I do get that nose of like that bubblegum on this.
Yeah,
Jason W says distinguished. Just drag the word out. I watched some of these videos. Definitely a cool format. Yeah.
I feel like at this point though, you're splitting hairs to intentionally not say smooth if you're saying stuff like softer or tame. So you may as well just say it.
People that don't like the word smooth bother me. I haven't met one person who's given me a legitimate reason to not describe a whiskey as smooth, other than the fact that they don't like it.
So the reason I don't like it, right?
Here we
The reason
go.
I
Let's
try not
go.
to use it. Okay. So to me, a whiskey person likes whiskey at the way that it is, and that smoothness, that like inoffensive quality of whiskey that you're looking for, that Glenfiddich 12, that Macallan, is smooth. That's what you want out of it. And if that's what you want out of it, you don't actually truly like whiskey.
Then maybe it's just my experience because I don't go much outside of bourbon and rye. So you're naming some things that are outside of my realm, and maybe I need to try those to figure out like what the definition of smooth is by your terms. But
Yeah.
I just personally use it in the sense that I'm drinking this and there's no real burn, there's no real ethanol kick, there's no real in your face punch you flavor profile. It's just you drink it, it tastes good, it's smooth, it's easy to drink. But I can
Yeah.
understand what you're saying. I just if somebody's newer to the whiskey world and they're like, "Hey, I want something smooth," and then you see people calling them out like, "Smooth, you can't have smooth." It's just like
Right.
relax. The guy's newer to the whiskey world. Silky. Jason's saying silky. That's another good one. Silky
Got them
smooth
silky
though.
mitts.
That's it.
Yeah. So I guess in the bourbon terms, it would be like Basil Hayden's. Like we just did a video on Basil Hayden
Yep.
toast, and that like there's just not much consistency to it. Like there's not much to it at all. And you're like your 80 proof, like ultra watered down whiskeys just don't have that.
Right. No, I agree. There's definitely levels to it as far as if it's 80 proof and you're saying it's smooth. It Basil's bothers me in the sense that they never put out anything unless it's 80 proof, and it's just one day they're gonna put out something with like some high proof stuff behind it, and it's gonna be good. Where it just bothers me at that price point that they usually because I think the toasted is up to what like 50 some dollars now.
Yeah, it's $50. But can you imagine that 36% rice mash bill at barrel proof?
No, I
Because
also could not imagine that.
that's the first rice secondary grain bourbon that I've ever had. And I actually don't hate the Basil Hayden toast. I think it's nuanced. If it's not your first pour, it's gonna taste like water.
Right.
But if you drink it kind of outside of everything else, I think it's not actually a bad pour. I
The
wouldn't buy
only
it for
other
50
rice one I
bucks.
had. Go ahead.
No, sorry. I was just going to say I wouldn't buy it at $50, but it's not
Right.
a bad bourbon.
The only other rice one I had was I think Little Book Chapter 4 had rice as the secondary grain. I think it was chapter 4. One of the little books tried it. I didn't buy it, but I did try it and it was I don't know how I feel about rice as the secondary grain. Brad's saying you got to come visit 717 Bourbon. So you mentioned that before, 717 Bourbon. Obviously, I went to Millersville University. That's 717 area code. Is that how close are we talking
Yeah,
here?
dude, you're talking like 15 minutes from where we meet. We meet at
Really?
Media Heights Golf Course. Yeah.
Okay. You guys golf too?
I do not. I disc golf. I don't
Okay.
for real golf. I've tried golf a couple of times and I shank every single one of my drives. So
I still got a couple of buddies up that way, so we'll definitely have to get out and do something up that way. That'll be a lot of fun.
yeah, dude,
I
come
didn't
come
even put
visit.
it
It'll be
together
awesome.
when you said 717 Bourbon, I was just like, yeah, and then I didn't even think about the area code until I read it. So that makes sense.
Yeah,
Your wives
we're
wouldn't
Lancaster
try to
based.
trick you. Lancaster based? Yeah, I got a buddy in
Yeah.
Lidditz, so
Okay.
not too far. Your wives wouldn't try to trick you and pour all three the same, would they? Canadian Chris, all three of these are probably Knob Creek single barrel if I had to guess. That's how I lost track on this, you know? Called two of them a rye after double sniffing. So my wife would absolutely do something like that. Now, would she be mean enough to tell his wife to do something like that? That would be the real question.
I don't know. I feel like my wife probably she's usually pretty nice to me, so she
Is
might
she?
not be on board with that. Yeah.
My wife will do anything in the world to make me look like an idiot on a live stream. I can promise you that. Brad says we
Yeah,
play
my
before
wife's
we meet in the
actually
summer.
yeah, we
I'll come up
do.
and play 19 holes and drink some whiskey. I have no problem with that. Let me know when. We'll make it happen. Oh man, I'm still number one. Number one, I'm out on. Number one is the 95.5. There's no way it's
Yeah.
not. So let me ask you this, not to put you on the spot again, but
No, please do.
what's the next thing? What's the next big video on the channel? What are you guys working on as far as what you want to do in the future with the channel and everything? I know you said you're newer, you just started. I know that that 2 to 3 year mark is where you can really start to be like, okay, we did this. This is what we love doing. This is
Yeah.
where we want to go. So what's the next big thing on the channel you guys are working towards?
So we're trying to do two shorts and a full length a week now. So we've been doing that for the last like 3 or 4 weeks, something like that. Um, we have a video coming out tomorrow, which is the 5 stages of being a whiskey drinker. So that is all edited. I'm waiting to upload it because I didn't want to kill my bandwidth for the stream, but it'll debut tomorrow at 6. So
Beautiful. I actually that's a great concept. I love that.
yeah, it was a fun one to kind of like think about the people that you know and like what the stages and the progression to being a whiskey drinker is. You don't start being like a barrel proof guy with all the bottles that we have behind us.
Right.
So
Yeah, that'll be a fun
yeah,
video.
we're trying to do a live a month. So our next live is coming up on the 30th. So that'll be a fun time. We're gonna do we just got past being 2 years as a channel on the 10th. So that'll be our birthday celebration live stream and a lot of fun. As far as what's next, we're doing a Gentleman and Cigars channel starting here pretty soon. So we're going to do kind of like what Jeremy Sires does with Leaf and Barrel. We're going to do that kind of thing where we do a cigar and a whiskey and we do a pairing. And it kind of has to be a separate channel because cigar content will actually completely demonetize your channel. Not that we're close to that, but we do possibly want the option in the future. So
Right. And you guys just hit 1,000 on Instagram, correct?
yeah, we just hit 1,000 on Instagram like a couple weeks ago. Just hit 400 here on YouTube, so that's like pretty exciting for us.
Yeah, absolutely. It's crazy, like with the as you start to put out more content and the first hundred's always the hardest and then the double that's always even harder and then you're like, okay, 200 to 400's the next. So now it's 400 to 8, it's not 400 to 500, it's 400 to 800 now and it's the next
Yeah,
step's always the big leap, but it's crazy how much you'll start to see like that exponential growth, which is a lot of fun when you start hitting that. So Jason says Vantage or 34. Saw your video today. So the Vantage versus the 34. It's I got to go 34 all day. Barrel 34. The Vantage is good. It's just the barrel 34 is real good. The barrel 33 is real good. And then I have tomorrow should be the dovetail video will be out. So the dovetail I'll give you a little spoiler alert. It's tough if you're not into rum and wine finished whiskeys. So I don't know
Yeah.
how do you feel about wine finishes personally?
So I'm actually not out on wine finishes. Um, have you ever had the Redwood Empire Haystack series?
That's like the one that I haven't had. I've had the Grizzly Beast, I've had the regular, and I've had the cash strength so far, but I haven't had the Haystack series.
So I had a white Zin finished Haystack series, and it is crazy good. That was one of the biggest surprises to me. I do also enjoy like some Cab Sav finished, but for the most part, like they're not. I'm not, full disclosure, not a huge barrel guy. Um, it's their stuff is just weirdly blended to me. So I enjoy what they're doing. Like I like the concept, but I don't like the end product.
See, I feel like I'm the exact opposite. I love their blending process.
Mm,
I feel like they know what they're doing and but again, it's one of those things where it's your palate versus my palate and neither of them
oh
are
yeah.
wrong, which is why again I love what you and how does Brandon feel about them? Brandon's got to love them, right?
So he's tried. I'm not sure what past this he's tried, but he had the same barrel New Year's 2021 that I had, and he
Okay,
enjoyed that.
I
So
have the same one. That's how I got started with with barrel.
yeah, that one fell a little flat to me. And then I've had the Seagrass rye. That was a little bit too much going on for me. Like it was just too many finishes. So I don't
The
know.
Seager, see, that's another one where I thought it was definitely a lot going on, but I thought the uniqueness in it and the fact that it's something that I've never tasted before in a rye just made it something I still have a bunch of it because it's one of those things I have to reach for where I'm like really in the mood for
Yep.
something like that. But when I
Yeah.
am in the mood for something like that, it's definitely good to have on the shelf. That's I can understand how you're like it's too much going on but it's like it's the same thing with see I think Woodford Double Oaked is a fantastic bourbon, but I also have to be in the mood for a Woodford Double Oaked. Like I need that heavy dense, I'm ready for a dessert after dinner, I'm just going to have one type of deal.
Yeah. I'm with you on that one. The, the Woodford Double Oaked is one that I'm willing to suggest to people, but then I actually don't own a bottle myself, which is wild.
Right.
So I think it's a good double oaked expression. I'm full disclosure, I'm almost never in the mood for a 90.4 proof double oaked product. I would much
Always
rather have,
90.4.
yeah, I would much rather have this Nulu double oaked than that. So,
Yeah. I've had a good experience with Nulu as well so far, or not even just the Old Forester 1910. All right, so here's the
yeah,
deal. Let's go back through these one more time. Do you have anything you want to change? Did you finish yours?
yeah, I did finish mine. I only poured half, so I have half for Brandon yet.
See,
So,
Marissa like messed me up on this. She poured like a full glass over here. Bardstown
I
the
hear you.
Prisoner is amazing. I haven't had the Prisoner. Have you had the Prisoner?
I haven't had the prisoner either, but I tend to appreciate Brad's palate, so I'm sure it's good.
Yeah. That's the thing. You can almost always find somebody who's runs on the same line as you when it comes to whiskey.
Yeah.
All right, so you're sticking to your guns here. You think these are going 95.5, then we're going the rye bourbon, then we're going the wheated bourbon?
Yes.
Okay. That's where I'm at too. By the way, if anybody hasn't already, we're gonna pool we only have a couple of people in who's gonna win the 2 ounce samples of all of these $5 super chat to get involved in that. But how did she do this for you? Does she have like a list for you? Or does she have
Yeah.
them
So
labeled
she has left, middle, and right for me.
left, middle, and right? So you have to figure out which one is okay. I'm gonna look at left. You look at your left, I'm gonna look at my left. Let's not say anything though.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah, I
I poured these into glasses, so I know this is
oh, okay.
AD&C. So that kind of doesn't help for me.
Gotcha. We'll figure out what yours is. Are you mad? Are you mad about our? figure out what your first one is. Do you know what your first one is?
Oh, like my top one.
No, no, no. Oh, well, you want to put these in order right now. I just looked at what it is. We can put
Okay.
them in order. Let's do that actually. Let's do that.
So I think you have the reveal. So you'll
Oh,
have to
I'm the only
reveal
one with
to
the.
me.
You
Yeah.
don't have it.
Yeah. I don't have the
Okay.
list now.
Gotcha. All right, let's. Well, you're gonna be mad in a minute then. Let's go ahead and Mike Carr in the house with the double super chat here with $10. Mike Carr, you're in for two entries here. Cheers. I appreciate you for that. So, what order are you putting these in from favorite to least? I forgot to even go through this. This is now I'm all thrown off.
All right. So I think I like the rye or the first one the most.
You think you like the
The
first one the
third one the
most?
second most, and the middle the least.
Middle the least. So I agree with you, middle the least, but I'm switching my other two. I'm saying I
Okay.
like my right one the most and my first one second.
Okay.
But
All right.
now I've already seen that was I had that in my head before we did this. But so number one, the first one we drank, and you drank from your left, correct? I feel like they messed up here. They had to have messed up.
Okay.
Because the first one is the weeder, according to my
There's no
wife.
way.
That's what I'm saying,
There's
right?
absolutely no way.
Should I bring her down here?
Yeah.
I gotta call her.
I'm
We
gonna
gotta
have my
get her.
wife
We
email
gotta
me
get her.
what.
What she said.
Yeah.
See, this is where I'm at here, though. Marissa could have easily just messed this up.
Telling my wife there's questions.
Yeah, I'm calling her. I'm not even waiting. She's gonna be like, what? She's probably doing yoga or something.
At least she's being productive.
Oh yeah, she's gotta be doing something. When I'm not bothering her, she's not even gonna 8:30. Baby's asleep. She's not even gonna answer me. There's Did she go the opposite direction? There's no way. So let's figure it out. So she says this one. She says number one's the weeded.
Okay.
Right? I'm not messing this up, am I? No. Then she says number two.
I'm pouring more of one because
Number
maybe my
two was the
wife.
number two was the bourbon, which we did say.
Hey, what's up?
What are you doing? Oh, never mind. I'll talk to you later. She's showering. Can't bring her down. Sorry, guys. This isn't that type of site. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. That's fairly impressive that she actually picked up.
She called back. Yeah, she called back. She probably thought there was an emergency, which there kind of is. So she better hurry. Number two was the bourbon, the high rye, the white label, the 36% rye, which we did say. Which means number three was the 95.5. Were we just wrong?
Dude, I don't think there's any way. I would have maybe flipped 2 and 3, but I just poured some more of this one.
Just take Brandon's. I'll send more. You know what I mean? So this is the order that she has me telling me that there's no way. I've been wrong before, but I can't imagine.
I
Did she
also
go
can't
opposite
imagine.
direction? I told her, well, mine are done by Great Whiskey Challenge. So
Yeah, the bottle tags.
the bottle tags are matching to the thing, and then whatever she put them in the order. So this one she said was B, should be the black label, which is what he put first. But I agree with you that I think we have the same ones. I think somebody messed up though. Unless we just completely messed up, which is also
I mean,
possible.
look, it's entirely possible.
Did you get
But
did you get a screenshot from the wife?
I did not. She's actually line. Oh, nope, she sent it.
Because if it was the opposite, then that would make sense.
Nope, she put left black, middle white, and right green. So,
But left us looking at it or left us.
well, so my wife actually wrote left, middle, and right on top of the bottles. So there's no way.
We messed up.
Woof. Oh man, dude.
That's bad. That's bad.
Dude, there's woof.
And I specifically mentioned to her multiple times that it was looking towards, I said, stand here and go left, right, left, middle, right. So like
Yeah.
I told her 100 times. We lost. We lose.
There's no way. Woof. All right, I'm pouring the rest of these. Brandon can get
Sorry,
his own.
Brandon. Feel better.
You did say into second bottle, so I can just pour Brandon more samples, but still.
Okay, there you go. Oh my God. I still now that I know feel like they're wrong. Like they messed up.
All right,
I don't
these are
want to
getting
blame my
Glens.
wife here. Oh, he's getting the Glens out. He's getting serious now. He's getting serious with the nose here.
Not that I don't.
Uh-oh, we lost him. He tripped on something, didn't he? He tripped on something. I don't know how to get him back. Maybe he'll message me on Instagram. Now we're down to just me, ladies and gentlemen, and this is where the fun really happens. Are we finishing these? Let's finish these, whatever. Let's finish these. We got nothing to do tomorrow. Some yard work. Haha, all good. Brandon, we'll get you some. If he drinks all your rye tonight and tomorrow, we'll get you some more stuff. I just cannot believe the only consistent piece is that John does like the weeder. That's so I don't even remember what order I picked these in now that I'm all flustered. So we both said that this one was the worst. Number 2 was the worst, which was the bourbon. And then I said John picked the weeder and I picked the rye. That's surprising. Tom Burns in the house. What's going on, everybody? I might be able to believe it. Tom, you're in for the $5 super chat. Let me see if he's messaging me on Instagram. He probably doesn't even know he's gone yet. Still here trying to reconnect. Oh, trying to reconnect. Perfect. Take your time. I got nothing to do but complain about the fact that I don't know what I'm doing when it comes to whiskey. It bothers me. Here's why it bothers me. I just drank these 5 days ago. John at least has the benefit of the doubt that he's never tried the rye before and he's only had a little bit of the weeder. Look at how much of the rye I've drank. Granted, I've sent samples out on this, but like look at how much of the weeder I drank. I've loved this weeder. So the fact that I could there's just no way. Is it the first one that's giving off bubblegum? Let me find it. No, it was the second one actually that was giving off the bubblegum, which was the bourbon. And I kind of thought it was we got this one right. We said that this one was the bourbon. I have a hard time believing you guys got the weeder and the rye mixed up, especially at a 95.5 rye and a weeder. There's just no way. The rye and the bourbon may not be the rye. The rye and the bourbon may, yeah, I agree. The rye and the bourbon, but maybe not the weeder. I just feel like I'm going to generate a new link for him here. 1 second, y'all. What's everybody else sipping on tonight? Anything good? I don't know if this is even going to work, actually. Yeti, that should be good. We should be good. Stone Fruit is the black label. So black label right now is B. That's this first one. Yes. Let's see if Stone Fruit comes up in this. I just learned about Stone Fruit maybe, I don't know, 5-6 weeks ago. The word Stone Fruit, like I know what Stone Fruit is, obviously, but like I've never heard it called Stone Fruit before. Is that weird? Cracked open? Cracked what open, Jason? Maybe it is. Maybe it's the weeder. And we said this. We said this when we started. Cracked open my last Wild Turkey 12. I'm jealous about that. I really wanted to get that Wild Turkey 12. I don't remember how to even add him. I think I just got to click on that again. We'll see if he joins in. What if I do this? Does this work? Heyo! Have I been crooked this whole time? Am I crooked or is my face just crooked? I feel like I'm leaning. Am I leaning? Cracked open my last Wild Turkey 12. Where did you get that from, Jason? Overseas? Somebody shipped from overseas? Want a sample? You know I do. Larceny BP 521, the best of the Larceny barrel proof. Am I right? I don't remember what I even have anymore. I have one Larceny barrel proof down here. C921. Didn't love it. That's why I still have a bunch. B521 is still my top Larceny barrel proof. I'm waiting. He's waiting, he says. Nope. Collab. There we go. Let's see. Not in yet. I guess he's loading. Loading. Samples for everybody. Left high. It's this camera, dude. I hate it. I can't touch it. What's going on, Dave, by the way? Larceny B521. Oh yeah, I didn't even realize that was Dave that said that. Yeah, Dave knows Larceny B521 is my favorite. You have a buddy that just goes to Japan? He just hops on flights to Japan all the time? Should we change the title name to Get Drunk with Chris? Found a backup for it, my favorite bottle all time. I'm not mad. I'm not jealous. The question is, next week is Maker's Mark week. Who has had the BEP yet? Anybody? I forget how to add him, but it says he's not in yet, so I'm going to assume he's still loading. Should we take shots? We'll take shots every minute until John comes back. How does that sound? Can you hear me on this screen? I forget if I put my... Hello? 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 Oh, you can still hear me. Where did you get that BEP? This is from Ohio. Ohio. I feel like I should... It's kind of like bothering me that it's... knocking things over. Left high. Left is this side, so that's got to... Is that better? We back in? What secret back alley deal did you make for that? 3 feet picks. That's all it costs. 3 feet picks. I feel like we're even now, right? No, it's still not level. It bothers me so much. It's not level because my house isn't level. So like this is 12 inches further back than my it's perfect now? All right, appreciate that. I can hear Marissa upstairs. Foot Finder is great. Gotta join the patron for that, you know what I mean? That's extra money. Amazing. I can hear Marissa upstairs. Maybe she'll come down and like not come on camera and just like tell me what's going on here, but I cannot imagine that both of us messed those two up that much. There's just no way. I was supposed to shoot another video tonight, but that's not going to happen. I promise I didn't rage quit. John got pissed. John hates me and my wife. He sent me a message on Instagram saying, F you and your family. No, I'm just kidding. Technical difficulties is something that we know about here on Bourbon of the Week. I've shot entire videos with no audio. I've shot entire videos. Go back and watch my first. The one thing that I will say about Gentlemen of Whiskey that I'm mad about, and gentlemen take this with a grain of salt, they didn't struggle through the audio and video. Maybe they did, and I just don't know about it. But if you go back and watch my first video, I am stretch screen 16:9. My head's this wide. I look terrible. I'm yelling. I'm yelling at the microphone because my mic is 15 feet away from me, and I'm using a microphone that should never be used for YouTube. And I struggled for about a year and a half. These guys come out and they have perfect video quality and great content. It's just, you know, John speaks for both of us. Have you had the old Brandon? We don't know each other like that, do we? I promise I didn't rage quit. I don't know what's up, but I'm here and I can see my screen. This man's here. Hold on, maybe I gotta add you, John. I keep clicking the wrong one. Boop-a-doo. Yeah, it's saying 0 for 1 for me, John. 0 for 1. We sure struggled as well. That makes me feel a little bit better. Chris, last month we did 3 hours of content with no sound because we plugged the mic into our headphones. Brandon, that makes me feel a little bit better. I have legitimately filmed an entire video, so I don't know if you guys can see this or not, but there's a little red light on this microphone, and when the red light's blinking, but when it's not blinking, that means it's on. And I've filmed entire videos with the red light blinking. This man says he has, first of all, your camera, that's a DSLR if I had to guess. It says he's here. He can see himself, but he can't see me. Not sure what's up. Chris, your setup is looking damn good. Remember your OG setup? Jason, it was a struggle for a while. First, it was a struggle at my old house. Jesus, I'm going to knock something over. It was a struggle at my old house. I used to be legitimately in a closet. Then it was a struggle when we moved to the new house because I just had like a little corner wall. I didn't have shelves. I didn't have lights. It was bad. John, how do we get you in here? It's saying you're not in. It's saying you're not in the. I think this is the same. I think that's the same one, right? I don't know how to get you back. I'll be honest with you. This is Streamlabs for you. I know you're watching, but it doesn't let me add you back. Do you need to join the new link? I'm in. I don't know if maybe because we're live now already, but that shouldn't be an issue. I think you should still be able to do it. Do you need to join a new link? I don't think I need to join a new link. I don't know what's it's the Streamlabs link. Like I send a link to him from Streamlabs and it's something with that, but we'll see. We'll see if we can get him back in. If not, we're going to communicate via chat. We're going to go full screen and just communicate via the chat. Can somebody go on? Who's a wrench? Who's a wrench in here? Dave, you're a wrench in here. Mike Carr, you should be a wrench in here. I don't know why you're not. I'm just going to add you now. Mike, you're getting. Why doesn't this let. Oh, I got to do it in YouTube, don't I? Boom. Where you at, Mike? Mike Carr. Add as moderator. Managing. No. Standard. Save. Somebody who's a wrench, go and grab. What's a wrench? That means you have you got privileges, Mike. I trust you. You can like check my bank account and stuff. No, you can like add links. So if somebody, Mike, if you could go and grab Gentleman and Whiskey's YouTube link and then put it in our chat here, that would be great. You have the privilege to do that now. Dave, you have the privilege to do that as well. I don't know who else does. Jason W absolutely should. I'm going to knock one of these bottles over. Jesus Christmas. Jason W, you should absolutely have a wrench. I'm just going to, everybody gets a wrench. Add as moderator. Boom. Jason W, you're a moderator. Why not? What's a wrench? What do we do? What are we going to do if we can't get them back? Still right back at the same place. View photo. Hmm. I don't know if ending stream and bringing back in help because then we're just gonna be back to everybody leaving. Yeah, it's saying guests 0 out of 1 for me. Hmm. John, we might have to call it. I'll be honest with you. I don't know where you went. I don't know how to get you back. Just go on. Just go on with Mount in the arms of an angel. So here's the deal. Here's what happened. I'll tell you guys the truth now. There you go. Gentleman whiskey right there. Can I pin that? Let me pin that comment. Pin message. Boom. Here's what we're going to say. Number 1, John, thank you for joining me tonight. Brandon, I hope you feel better. Number 2, make sure you go follow Gentleman Whiskey. Yes, absolutely like that, Mike. You just did exactly what I needed you to do. Go follow Gentleman Whiskey. Make sure you do that. Click their like, click their subscribes, watch their videos, check them out on Instagram. They put out awesome content. Number 3, John left because he was mad that we got this wrong. No, I can man up and admit to it. No, I'm just kidding. But John, I don't know how we messed this up so bad. I'll be honest. Try them out of Glens. Your wife was right. Don't. Do I have Glens? Is this dirty? That looks. Oof. That needs to be washed. Your wife was right. Don't tell her that. Northwest Bourbon in the house. What's going on? Do we know what you each picked as number 1? So I picked the 95.5 rye, the actual rye as my number 1, and John picked his wheater as the number 1. It's crazy. When we both thought we picked the opposite actually, I guess. So John thought he picked the 95.5 and I thought I picked the wheater. Chris, I am hopeful that we'll all be able to do another live another time. Thanks for including us, man. Absolutely, Brandon. We're definitely going to be able to do another live, and I'm coming out there and golfing with you guys. So get ready for a 107 when it comes to the score, not the antique. There's no way. There's still no way. So this was A. This is the rye. This is what I thought was the bourbon, or this is what I thought was the wheater, and it's the rye. The 95.5 rye. I picked the wheated, then the rye bourbon. Right. No, no, no. Didn't you pick them? Oh yeah, we both picked the rye bourbon as last. So we both picked the middle one, which is the regular white label. Sorry. I always get the white label confused. We all picked the white label as last. Then he picked the wheater as number 1 and I picked the rye as number 1. My God, I still just don't feel like that's right. Maybe I'm still wrong. All right, here's the deal. I got to pull up. So if you're on my Patreon, this is how it works. I have a Google Sheets for this. Where's my sheets at? I have a Google Sheets where I have all my patrons by tier. If you're tier 1, you get 1. If you're tier 2, you get 2. If you're tier 3, you get 3. If you're tier 4, you get 5, actually, because the price jump is a little bit different. But if you're a patron, you automatically get entered into all of my giveaways. So that, along with the people that entered tonight, Canadian Chris, Scott twice, which is already a patron, Mike, and then Tom, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll just say a bunch. Boom, boom, boom. We're gonna pick our winner right here. I gotta find the total number here. There we go. All right. Go to Google and pick a random number. Stick with me, folks. Boom. Mike Carr. Mike Carr, you win. Look at that. Mike, hit me up. I know you know who I am. I know where to find you. Mike, hit me up. I'm going to send you a 2-ounce sample of each of these right here. Appreciate you for the donation tonight. Everybody else who did enter, other than my patrons who already always get entered, thank you for entering tonight. We're going to do more of this soon. We're going to do here's the deal. We have, and I'm only disclosing this because I've been drinking tonight and there's only 13 of us in here, so I don't really care. But, and the wrench for the win. You're right, Mike. You had a great night. We have, I don't even have the bottle down here. Where's my other bottle? Just so I can show off the bottles. We have just received, so this is the Phoenix blend from 2XO. We just received today our Innkeeper's blend from 2XO. Very excited to see what that tastes like. But we have reached out to Dixon Dedman himself, the master blender behind this, the resurrection of Kentucky 2XO. So he's going to join us on a live stream. It might be next week. It might be the week after that. I'm still finalizing the details, but we will be speaking with Dixon Dedman. Now, if you have any specific questions that you would like to ask Dixon himself, come join the Discord. I'm going to put out a poll. I'm going to make an entire chat on our Discord with just questions that we should ask Dixon Dedman. Now, obviously, I'm going to go through them. We're not going to ask him everything because some of you guys ask some weird questions. But we're going to ask Dixon a bunch of questions. We're going to talk to him for at least an hour. He said he would give us. That's going to be a lot of fun. Again, I don't know if that's going to be next week or the week after. We're still finalizing the details. But we have Maker's Mark, BEP coming up next week. We're going to do Maker's Mark next week as far as our bourbon of the week. And then we're going to compare that to some of the other wood finishing series. We're going to interview 2XO, do 2XO probably the week after that, and interview Dixon Dedman, which is going to be awesome. I can't even believe. I have a question. How dare you? Absolutely. Could not imagine. Good stuff, fellas. Enjoy the rest of your night. Good night, Johnny. Appreciate you being here. So yeah, that's what's coming up here in the next couple of weeks. John, appreciate you joining me tonight. Brandon, hope you feel better. Make sure you go follow Gentleman and Whiskey. Make sure you click like and subscribe on all of their stuff. Make sure you follow them on Instagram because I'm sure that's where they give all of their updates on everything. But in the meantime, please don't drink and drive. Always drink responsibly and stay healthy, stay happy, stay drinking. Mike, I'll talk to you soon. We'll reach out. I'll send you these things. But otherwise, have a good night, guys. We'll see you guys next time. I'll probably go hang out in Discord if any of the patrons are still in here. I'm going to go hang out in Discord now since I have my whole setup already ready. So, and I've been drinking. We'll keep it going. Cheers, y'all.